Chapter 1. The belief that every woman won't find their mate is nothing but a myth. There is a discouraging belief going around today that there aren't enough men for every woman, that not every woman will find their mate. Of course, there is no shred of truth in this dogma. It's a message of sabotage designed to take away the hope of women who are patiently waiting and preparing to receive a loving relationship in their lives. I'm a firm believer that you will receive the man God has for you. Stéphane Labossière. The plain and simple truth is that God is able to give you a loving partner with whom you'll share your life. You don't have to worry about the number of men there are in the world or the ratio of men to women in your society. Picture this. There's a club called You Get a Husband, and in line are women from all backgrounds and beliefs. As a believer whose faith is in God, you have VIP status and access. With this access, you get to skip the line because God gives His people the best. Before you can use your VIP access, however, you must first know who you are in God. You must be walking in your purpose, living the life God has called you to live. You have to discover your greatest self, and there are 3 keys to doing this. 1. Heal from your past. One major way to know who you are is to heal from your past. When you heal from your past, you'll be able to put yourself in right standing with God. Not healing from your past holds you back and stops you from exuding positive energy. Positive energy is necessary to attract the great relationship you seek. 2. Finding your purpose. If you don't know where you're going, you won't know who belongs with you on that path. You have to do things you enjoy and find a career that speaks to your heart so that you radiate positive energy. 3. Know how to hear God. Learn to listen to God in prayer. Don't just use your prayer sessions to make requests and vent. What God says trumps what anybody else says. In the following sections, we'll explore the 7 traits to help you determine your partner. Chapter 2. You will be attracted to the man God has for you, even if they don't have all the specific features you desire. Believers are often told not to focus on the physical appearance of a potential suitor, and instead, focus on what's inside because that's all that matters. Yes, it's true that looks shouldn't be the focal point when seeking a partner. However, they shouldn't be ignored. God isn't trying to set you up with someone you're not attracted to. What many people get wrong is that there is a huge difference between looks and attraction. When saying looks shouldn't be your main focus, it's the specifics about a person's physical attributes that you need to avoid. If your requirements include this man being 6 feet tall with a specific hair and eye color and a particular build, then yes, that shouldn't be so important. God may not send the person He has for you with the exact features you desire, but the person will have everything you need and attraction will be part of it. Attraction is the ingredient that transitions a relationship from platonic to romantic. Stéphane Labossière. When 2 people have an attraction, it's specific to the action or power of sparking interest, pleasure, or the like for someone or something. It's the force that draws a connection. It is the attraction you share with someone that's important, not if the world thinks they're cute or if your friends think they're hot. The attraction must be there whether or not they have your preferred look. If it isn't, then you shouldn't move forward with such a relationship. Doing so is detrimental. If the attraction is in place, however, you should be open to and embrace the relationship, even if the person is not your typical style. Going into a romantic relationship with someone you're not romantically attracted to will lead to bigger problems than you can imagine. In essence, you'll be attracted to the man God has for you. If that doesn't exist, don't think you're under any obligation to move forward with the relationship. God does not want you to live the rest of your life with the feeling of getting less than what you desire or what makes you happy. Chapter 3. The man God has for you will cherish you and care for you, not mistreat you. Any man who disrespects or mistreats you is not a man sent from God. You may think this should be obvious, common sense. Unfortunately, common sense isn't always so common. Because of the way many people were brought up, they believe being in a relationship with men who exhibit negative and disrespectful behavior is normal. They've been around negative, unhealthy, toxic behavior to the point where they see maltreatment and abuse as what happens in relationships. They try to validate, rationalize, and justify the man's toxic behavior. What remains evident is that this behavior is a problem and shouldn't be dismissed. Now, this is not to say that the man God has for you is not going to be perfect in that he'll never do anything wrong. We all make mistakes. We're human beings. We sin. We do bad things sometimes. However, there's a difference between the person who makes a mistake and wants to do better and be better for you, as opposed to the person who does it and doesn't care about how you feel. They don't give a damn about how their behavior affects you. All they care about is themselves, how they feel, and what they're looking to get out of a situation. Someone like that will always dismiss your feelings and the impact of their actions. You're not obligated to remain with someone while they continue to behave in a toxic manner. It doesn't matter if they're going through a tough time personally or they grew up in a dysfunctional home. Don't try to sympathize with them or justify their behavior. Don't ignore the red flags. It doesn't get better once you marry the person, nor does it magically stop. The more you continue to pacify the behavior and dismiss the problem, you essentially enable them. You're inadvertently telling them you're okay with their actions. As God's daughter, as His child, He wants the best for you. Disrespect and mistreatment doesn't belong there because that doesn't glorify God. Stéphane Labossière. You are God's daughter, and He wants the best for you just as any father wants the best for his daughter. He doesn't want you in unhealthy and toxic relationships. He's not trying to set you up with a man who's going to be consistently disrespectful to you or mistreat you. Chapter 4. God will not set you up with a boy to make into a man. He'll never put such a burden on you. There's currently a lot of rhetoric about building a man, being able to grow with him and be patient during his process, willing to be with him at his lowest point, and so on and so forth. You should never let yourself be influenced by such schools of thought as these. God didn't create you to be a man's crutch. Yes, there is nothing wrong with being supportive, being an inspiration and motivation for a man to encourage and help him grow. However, it should all be done as his friend, as genuine friends, not friends with benefits. Boundaries need to be in place because God will not set you up with a boy to make into a man. He won't burden you with such responsibility. One of the main risks of dating a man's potential is that he may never reach that potential with you. When people apply themselves, they can accomplish amazing things in their lives. The problem is, what you see in him may not be accurate. Regardless of what you think or fantasize about who and what a man can be, he may not connect with that vision. If he doesn't connect, you'll probably have to drag him there, and he'll kick and scream along the way. When you do that, you become resentful and lose some respect for him. This is not the kind of life God wants for you. He's not going to place you in unhealthy attachments where you invest in men who may not ever even live up to the hope. Before you get romantically involved with a man, you want him to want and desire you at his best in terms of his finances, career, and character. A man who's a hard worker, a man who wants you happy just as you desire their happiness. This is who you want to date. When these aren't in place, you're dealing with a boy who you're trying to make into a man. You have no obligation whatsoever to embrace a man at a stage that's not truly best for you. You deserve the best, and if he's serious about being with you, then he'll step up his game. Chapter 5. God will not send you a man who is not serious and only looking to play you. The man God has for you isn't going to be looking to play you like a fiddle. He's focused and knows what he wants to accomplish in his relationship. The man who is serious about being with you will not lie to you, disrespect you, or show a lack of willingness to commit. The man who is for you doesn't look to use you or be a burden on you. He wants to work with you, build with you, love you, and grow with you. Too many women have fallen into traps of men who only look to play. These men confuse women by sending mixed signals. They say, "I don't want a girlfriend," but behave like a boyfriend. They say, "I don't want commitment," but want to control who you talk to or who you entertain. These mixed signals get downright confusing. These men want to cuddle and do all this sweet stuff, but when you ask where this is going, they'll be like, "Whoa, slow up, you're moving too fast. What are you doing?" Stay away from a man like this at all costs. He's not ready or willing to be the man you need. Never get romantically involved with a man who doesn't know what he wants. Whenever a man wants to go with the flow, just be his friend. When he finally figures out what he wants, he can try again, and you two can discuss how to move forward. Don't fall into the trap of waiting until he's ready. Stéphane Labossière. Allowing yourself to get caught up with an unserious man is a recipe for disaster. The fact that you accept the lack of clarity and direction only allows him to remain vague and drag out the situation even longer. While it's not impossible for the situation to change, it's extremely unlikely it will ever change. When you make relationship decisions, think about what's in your best interest and what's realistic. God does not want you to be romantically tied up with a man who is not committing to you. Neither does he want you tied to a man who doesn't see you as his wife or wants to make you his wife. God would never entertain a situation like that, so you should never entertain a man who doesn't know what he wants. Chapter 6. You and the man God has for you will share a genuine connection, not just chemistry. Without a genuine connection, a relationship will not have long-term success. As a single lady, you'll meet a lot of men who will catch your eye and maybe you'll talk to and like. There may even be instances where you believe you love this man, and that may be true, but you won't experience a deep and genuine connection with every single one. A genuine connection is rare to experience more than once in a lifetime. Having such a connection with someone is a special experience. According to Stéphane Labossière, it's like two spirits recognizing their counterpart. You will never feel a special connection with just anyone, which is why it's a strong indicator and a necessary foundation for recognizing the man God has for you. It is worth noting that chemistry is not the same as a special connection. Chemistry accounts for the ability to get along with each other. It is what sets the tone for people to dive deeper, although this may not always happen. When there's a deep and genuine connection between two people, they'll develop a bond. They'll enjoy each other as they are, and it goes beyond common and shared interests. You want to be sure your relationship goes deeper than "we get along." The two of you should talk, open up, and share the deeper parts of you. This is the only way each of you can discover who the other person really is. One way to be sure there is really a connection is to always be yourself. Many people start dating, enter relationships, and even marry, holding on to a facade. They portray who they believe they need to be rather than who they are. Don't be afraid to let down your guard and be vulnerable in your relationship. There may be parts of you that need to evolve or improve, and that's perfectly fine. Embracing this and allowing it to happen is good and healthy for you and for the relationship. When there's a genuine connection, there is no need to fake it. You are at peace with this person, you enjoy them, and you're comfortable being with them. You're content with them, even with their imperfections. You can be honest with them about who you really are. Chapter 7. The man God has for you will love God wholeheartedly, but he'll not be perfect. One thing we humans all have in common is that we're all prone to make mistakes. We all go through a growth phase in our lives where we evolve and begin to understand how to properly approach life and anything else we encounter on that path. Perfection is unrealistic, and therefore, no man can be perfect, no matter how much of a believer he is. The man God has for you will love God, but this doesn't mean he'll be perfect. His love of God is what needs to be in place for you to be able to accept him into your life. Without that foundation, there are bound to be some issues in the future, as the man will not be aligned with you. He'll struggle with understanding how he needs to treat you and cherish you as the blessing that God gave him. He needs to love God, but this doesn't mean he'll have perfect behavior. There is a big difference between a man who loves God and struggles with his flesh versus a man who loves his flesh and struggles with embracing God. The man who loves God and struggles with his flesh is no different than you. He may be a strong believer who embraces prayer and the understanding that God wants him to walk a greater path. He may also be better in the way that he approaches such things as who he's to be as a man. However, he's human, just as you. He makes mistakes from time to time. Conversely, the man who is in love with his flesh but struggles to embrace God is a man who doesn't respect what you stand for as a believer. He's not able to encourage your growth in God or his own. These kinds of men are inconsistent with what God wants them to do and attempt to get you to engage in the same behaviors. You and the man God has for you will be in agreement with how to handle life situations, your values, the goals you pursue together, and how you view relationships. This man may not be perfect, but he'll love God, and his love for God will be clearly evident in his character. Chapter 8. The man that is for you will want all your love, not just a piece. Stéphane Labossière says a whole man wants a whole woman. You want a man who is well put together, who can be open, honest, and give you all of his love. What do you think he'll want? You deserve a man who doesn't come with a load of baggage and issues, so how about yours? Have you addressed and corrected them? This amazing man that God has for you will come with a higher standard of living in the way that he carries himself. Things that may get by with men who aren't walking in their purpose aren't going to fly with this man. It's going to be a different ball game, and you have to hold yourself to the same qualities and standards you want in a man, as well as embrace the qualities he looks for in a woman. Do what you're supposed to and be where you need to be as the woman God created. If not, it can throw everything off and even stop that man from presenting himself. The man that's for you has a genuine desire for you and sees you as someone he wants to spend the rest of his life with. He'll pay more attention to what you do and don't do. If he opens up, makes himself vulnerable, and doesn't see you putting in equal effort or at least meeting him halfway, he'll struggle. you must be willing to give all of yourself. Just because this man is the one God has for you doesn't mean he's going to bring down the walls you've built or get through all your issues and problems. He can't heal you because he's human just like you. You have to work on being whole. It's not about finding a man who completes you. It's about completing yourself and receiving the man who compliments you as you compliment him in return. That's the relationship that will flourish and become something amazing. Did you know? Holding back may result in insecurity. If a man doesn't feel secure, loved, and respected, he'll not only begin to question you, he may respond negatively to the block you've created. Conclusion. God is able to give you a loving partner with whom you'll share your life. Don't listen to the false narrative going around that there aren't enough men for every woman. It's a message of sabotage designed to take away the hope of women who are patiently waiting and preparing to receive a loving relationship in their lives. You're in the process of receiving the man God has for you. While in this process, you need to play your part and become your best self. Regardless of what happens romantically in your life, becoming your best self is most important. It's important with regard to being in alignment with where God wants you to be, as well as receiving all the opportunities and blessings He has for you. You must be walking in your purpose, living the life God has called you to live. You have to discover your greatest self. It's not just about a man, there's a bigger picture. It all comes together when you find your purpose. When you love yourself, heal, get rid of past hurts, disappointments, and flush any trace of negative energy out of your system. You become the woman you were always created to be, and that's a beautiful thing. Along this journey, you will receive the man God has for you. The 7 traits highlighted in this summary will help you recognize him when he comes along. Try this. Listen to your intuitions. Like most people, you may feel as if trying to listen to God is too complicated. The truth is, when it comes to hearing God, your intuition is your first guide. As a woman of God, that still, small voice within is your spirit trying to reach you, talk to you, and get your attention. Don't ignore it.